These are my three favourite group stage bets for the 2026 World Cup. These ones have gone absolutely under the radar. Now, even if you do watch this channel, you guys are going to be stunned with how much value are in these bets. So I'm going to get straight on into it. So the first bet for the group stage of the World Cup that I have is Qatar, Haiti and Iraq, all to finish bottom of their group at 2.1x odds on Bet365. Now, this is an absolute banker and full of value in my opinion. Now, these are the stats to back this up. Now, to start things off, we have Iraq. Now, if you guys have seen Iraq's group, it consists of France, Senegal, and Norway. That is an absolute group of death. And if Iraq even had a chance of getting some points at this World Cup, it definitely wouldn't have been in that group. And this is going to be an absolute struggle for them. So to start with, you have France, who obviously are one of the best teams in the World Cup and actually joint favourites to win it. You've got Senegal, who, along with Morocco from Africa, are one of the best teams on the continent. And then you have Norway, who are absolutely soaring right now, becoming better year on year, with Erling Haaland, Odegaard picking up form for Norway, and you've got a couple of young ones as well. You've got Antonio Nusa, I think. You've got three absolutely great teams in that group, and I don't think Iraq would have, easily got points anyway, whatever group they're in. But in this group, it's going to be near on impossible. Along with, just the blatantly obvious facts, Iraq also overshot their XG in qualifying, so they've already overperformed on their way here, which doesn't do their case any good. And the best team they faced in qualifying was South Korea, who beat them both times. So again, we're not talking of a high-level team here. This is the first part of the bet that I think is an absolute banker. Now, the next part of the bet is obviously Haiti. Now, Haiti are only there at the World Cup because the extra allocation that came from Mexico, US, and Canada qualifying as hosts. So they shouldn't even be there at a normal World Cup, But yeah, they're there. I think in Haiti's group, the only chance really that they have of picking up points is against Scotland. And let's not just look over Scotland here. They definitely are a solid team. I think it's going to be hard for Haiti to get anything out of that game. Definitely not a win, maybe a draw, but again, it's going to be really, really hard. But I feel like even if they do get a draw, they still will finish bottom of that group because I feel like Brazil and Morocco will absolutely demolish them. So yeah, that is the Haiti explanation there. And then the final part of this bet is Qatar. Now, if you watched my last video, you will know exactly why I think Qatar is a great bet. And they're actually the highest odds out of any of these teams in this ACCA, or this treble, you could call it. It is glaringly obvious to me that Qatar are going to do bad at this World Cup. And there's nothing against Qatar. I just think they're not going to do very well. And I feel like the reason their odds are boosted up to 1.44 alone, just for them to finish bottom of their group, is because they have Lopetegui as manager, and people think, okay, Lopetegui, good manager, he may be able to do something with this Qatar team, but no, that's not the case. Under the new coach, Julian Lopetegui, they have only won 2 of their 11 matches since he took charge, which is, is not a good stat. And the teams they beat were Iran and the UAE, so we're not talking high-level opposition here. Now, I went through all the reasons in my last video that obviously Qatar overshot their XG again in qualifying, and they really should not be at this World Cup, but they're here, and people are definitely overestimating them, in my opinion. So that is the first of 3 bets I'm going to go through in this video. That is my banker, and I'm definitely going to be putting, a decent amount of money on that. So my second bet for the group stages is actually going to be another double, another ACCA. It's going to be England to win Group L and Paraguay to qualify / advance from Group D. Now, these reasons behind it are very self-explanatory, and I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty stats for you right now. So, obviously, if you guys have been watching a lot of England since Tuchel's come in, during European qualification, England executed a flawless 100% win record in their group, while scoring 22 goals, which is, absolutely insane, and conceding 0. So, we're talking very defensively solid under Tuchel, which a lot of his teams, a lot of his successful teams in the past have been. If we look back to Chelsea in the Champions League a few years ago, they were defensively unbelievable. And one thing I do want to mention as well, everyone's really talking about, the squad he's taken is not too good. He should have taken this player, that player. I really do trust Tuchel just to pick the right personnel. Because if you look at the Chelsea team that won the Champions League a few years ago, they were not the flashiest names, but they fit his system. And, if he's thinking the same for England, hopefully he's just picking players for the system. So therefore, England can perform to the max level. But yeah, anyway, England obviously has a load of depth, you know, in the group stages. This is very key. I feel like, again, England's travelling between matches is very favourable. So obviously it plays its match against Croatia in the climate-controlled Dallas Stadium, which again is very nice because it's going to avoid that really horrible heat, which will benefit England again. And then obviously the teams in the group, you have Croatia, Ghana, Panama. I think England beat Croatia, Ghana and Panama, and I feel like the toughest game of them all will probably be Croatia, but I still think England do edge past them in the group. And again, Paraguay to qualify. Now, if you guys didn't know already, Paraguay's group is the United States, Turkey, and Australia. So again, a group that shouldn't be overlooked. Of course, I don't think any group should be overlooked. There's going to be loads of upsets at this World Cup, which obviously is why the World Cup is one of the greatest tournaments in world football, because there's always these crazy upsets going on. But I feel like they are becoming a very dangerous underdog, and people are definitely overlooking them. So since they had that horrible Copa America, they actually replaced their manager with Alfaro, and since Alfaro has come in, they secured qualification with victories against Brazil and Argentina. These should not be overlooked. These are big wins. And again, another thing that I think backs Paraguay up is if they're playing in these very hot conditions, they're going to be used to it and acclimatized. This is why a lot of South American teams should probably, you know, progress quite far through the tournament, because they are acclimatized to this weather. A lot of European teams are going to struggle, and I think this is where England may fall short as well. This is not weather that we experience over in Europe a lot. A lot of these games are going to be played in hot heat. So again, this is a thing that I think when I'm looking at Paraguay. And they have been battle tested already, Paraguay. They have got a lot of victories in the qualification against, you know, teams with hostile environments. They've got a result in Bolivia where it's 4,100 meters above sea level. Them conditions are horrible to play in. Ecuador's 2,800 meters above sea level. And then in Colombia, it was obviously boiling hot there when they played them. So it will be a walk in the park when they're going over to America. It will literally feel like the conditions they've played in all throughout qualification. It's going to be a vast contrast to what these European teams have played in. So I feel like, yeah, Paraguay, definitely one of my favourites to qualify from that group. So yeah, that is the bet there. England to win Group L and Paraguay to qualify from Group D. Now, this final pick of today's video is probably the most mispriced one yet, and it's Netherlands to win the Group F at 1.72x odds, which is absolutely ridiculous. So their group, if you didn't know already, is Japan, Sweden, and Tunisia. Again, a group you'd expect them to win almost easier than England, but for some reason the odds are much higher than the odds for England. Now, obviously, a few of the reasons why I think they're going to win this group. First of all, they have the best centre-back rotation in the world. I mean, we're talking Van Dijk, Van der Ven, Ake, De Vrij, De Ligt. Not De Ligt, I don't think De Ligt's playing, but you know, we're talking about some of the best centre-back rotation in the world. Jurrien Timber as well. There's one there. We're talking, you know, absolute world-class talent everywhere in that team. And if we're talking, you know, stats and mathematics, then Japan is obviously the biggest threat to the Netherlands. But I feel like, you know, the Netherlands have the perfect counter to Japan's style of play. So obviously Japan's team normally thrives when, you know, teams are trying to control possession and leave space in behind their defensive line. But Koeman's Netherlands side is obviously highly comfortable with ceding chunks of possession. They can drop into a mid block, and they can utilize the extremely fast transitional speed of Frimpong and Cody Gakpo, which again I think will be a style mismatch for Japan, and I think they will not easily win that game, but win that game and win the group. Again, they're also playing in climate-controlled stadiums, so this should be, I'm not going to sound too confident here, but a breeze in the park winning that group for Netherlands. So that is going to be my final bet. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know your picks down below, and I'll see you soon. Peace.